When you've reached the age of Social Security and Medicare, you got a couple of choices about how you're going to live your life. You can sit back in the lazy boy and watch TV, or get on a motorcycle seat and watch the world go by, real close and personal. What's going to be in your hand? The remote control of the throttle. We choose to take the fast track on 2 wheels. Oh well, there goes the children's inheritance. Leaving Boise, we head north to Bear Valley and on up to Landmark for our first night. Oh, there's nothing like a little toddy after a long, hard ride.
To our first day. To our first date.
Day 1. How was the ride today?
It was wonderful, and my poor butt, I think yours too, feels like, I don't know, like it got dragged along the road or something. It feels like it's got road rash from just sliding on the seat back and forth and sitting on it for such a long time.
This meal is as good as I remember it that first time that we had it.
A camping meal is always a good meal. Isn't that the best?
It's the best we have right now.
It's the best dinner I've had all day. There's a good Forest Service dirt road from Landmark to Yellow Pine. We're alone on the road, just gliding through the trees beside Johnson Creek. There's no rush, so we cruise along at a comfortable speed and just enjoy the moment. It's our own private wilderness.
It's so beautiful. We're so much in the mountains. I mean, we are so deep. It's just, even though there's a road that goes through here, but there is just mountains around. That's all there is, and trees, and spicy smells, and pine needles, and it's delicious. It's really beautiful.
In the meadows above the ice hole campground, the river flattens out and becomes perfect for salmon spawning. Yellow Pine is a sleepy little isolated village that comes alive every August with the International Harmonica Festival. It's Idaho music at its best.
Idaho, back where your friends are true. I'll build a little nest out in the golden west underneath the skies of blue. So today I'll start my journey. I've a long, long way to go, and that's back to good old Idaho.
From Yellow Pine, we go over Big Creek and then up Elk Summit. Thankfully, it's clear of snow. Sometimes this pass is closed till August. Thanks to the Forest Service for clearing these downed trees. Otherwise, this trip would have been a disaster. The road down is rocky, loose, and steep. Not my favorite kind of riding. It's nice to get to the river and across that bridge. We've seen a lot of downed trees cut up and moved off the road, but here above McLean Ranch, we run into one that hasn't been cleared. Lucky for us, we can knock off a few branches and squeeze under it. Getting stuck here for a day or so would be a real bummer. The road from Bergdorf Hot Springs down to the main Salmon River is a wonderment. It's perfect, hard dirt with green trees so dense it's almost like being in a tunnel. Then it opens up to the side of the whole river drainage. The road's only one lane wide, so when cars meet, one of them may have to back up to find a wide enough spot for the two to pass. We do need the urban life of Riggins just to get gas. So far, we're averaging about 75 miles per gallon. That's better than a 150-mile range, but I don't want to push it quite that far. Better be safe than sorry. Another benefit of Riggins is the opportunity for an ice-cold beer. We've been missing that on these hot riding days. Relief comes when we pull off the highway at Whitebird and take the old road up the hill. This road's an absolute delight. It curves and climbs like an alpine highway, each sharp and steeply banked turn leading to the next. I feel sort of like a slalom skier going uphill. Nadine is grinning like a happy kid on a ride at the fair, and it's hard to keep a silly smile off my face. In Grangeville, we give in to the lure of comfort and check into a motel for a shower, a real bed, and some TV. Elk City is the last place for getting gas, ice cream, and whiskey before taking on the famous Magruder Corridor. This primitive dirt road follows the old Nez Perce Trail and is a narrow path carved through the Frank Church wilderness. The weather looks good for a few days, and we have plenty of food and extra gas, so we give it a go. We'd rather go slow and easy and camp in the middle.
Guys are like little streets. More?
One. Yes.
So how's the road from here on up? Better or worse?
About the same. About the same. Not bad.
But you got 4 wheels.
Yes. But you can go between rocks.
Most of the roads on are near a ridge, so there's almost always a view out over the mountains and forests. There aren't any acting fires now making smoke, and the visibility is great, at least 40 or 50 miles. Fish juice on my pants. Boy.
I don't get how people found their way through here from Idaho to Montana. I really don't.
I don't think it was done in a day, but over hundreds of years, little explorations.
Not in a day, huh? They didn't have this road.
I think the high point was something like 7,900 feet. Is that right?
Anyway, when we started out this morning from Poets Creek, I think I was definitely a little bit anxious because we had been getting reports of it's really rocky, and we had a report from a guy yesterday who said, yeah, there are these switchbacks with sort of like slippery rock and sand over them. We never came across any of those. The road is rocky, but it is an incredibly beautiful ride. I mean, you have to be focused, and so for 2 hours in the 40 miles or so that we did, sort of over the top of Observation Point, it was like a lot of focus, but it wasn't really technical, and it wasn't really difficult, and it was fun. I just really enjoyed it, and it's just incredible mountain scenery. I mean, you would just see these mountains go on and on forever, and you think about the Nez Perce, and you think about Lewis and Clark, and I'm just glad to be doing this. You know, I'm glad that they kind of like trailblazed it, and that I'm in this particular time in life and being able to do it too. Yes. So it was wonderful. You could do this, and it's good. Again, and explore some of the side trails. Build yourself up to a point where it's sort of like you feel comfortable doing it. But I love it. I just am. I'm really happy. I told Bill I don't need to take Pete. I told Pete I don't need to take any more happy pills. It's like he just needs to keep me on a motorcycle, going up and down hills, and hey, life is good.
So you think these women whose husbands have retired and have nothing to do, this is the cure for them?
For the men or the women?
Both.
I don't know. Well, maybe. Could be. I don't know. How about you?
Do you think that Social Security is any detriment to being on a bike?
I haven't noticed any detriment so far. So, no, age doesn't seem to be a factor here.
Near Connor, Montana, we can get gas and some snacks. Then it's a good ride on pavement to the big old battlefield. It's a national park now, but in August 1877, the Army made a dawn attack on Chief Joseph's band of Nez Perce Indians, who were trying to get to Canada. Despite many deaths from the surprise, the Indians fought back and held off the Army long enough to pack up their camp and escape to the east. Walking through the bare teepee poles and seeing the memorials to the fallen Indians and soldiers, well, that's a pretty emotional history lesson. The weather's holding good, so lots of motorcycles are on the road. Some are pretty plush, and some are just plain weird. The dirt road south from Wisdom's in real good condition. Firm dirt with few rocks or little soft sand. Stopping early at the Reservoir Lake Campground leaves us lots of time for relaxing and cooling off. Nadine thinks the water is just perfect and the ideal place to get rid of the road dust. Works for her.
I am so refreshed.
Was it worth the ride getting here?
Yeah, it's a good end of the day. Refreshing. It's good. Life is good. Life is good.
This is a prime Montana valley. Good water for crops, and good forage and shelter for wildlife. A lot of the ranches here have been around for over 100 years. More than 200 years ago, Lewis and Clark came through here on their voyage of discovery to explore the Louisiana Purchase. They struggled up this hill with heavy loads, but we just twist the throttle, and it doesn't seem to be much of an effort to climb up it. Lemhi Pass was their first crossing of the Continental Divide. By following the streams running into the Missouri River, they thought they'd found the source right here in a little spring. When it's not hunting season, Idaho's wildlife doesn't seem too concerned about people. Alongside the highway by the Salmon River near Chalice, they just ignore all the traffic on the road. Out of Chalice, there's a road called the Custer Motorway that runs about 50 miles through the wilderness to the old ghost town of Custer. Narrow and rough is just what we're looking for. Custer was a roaring gold mine town in the 1800s, and the cemetery shows many ways to die. Disease, gunfight, mine accident, or snowslide. Few men died of old age. Heading home from an overnight stay in Sun Valley, we see an unusual sight on the back road above Fairfield. Buffalo. These guys look pretty bad, but apparently it's just their coarse winter fur coming off before growing the next one. I think that they'd be happier on the open range than locked up here in this dusty corral. There's no better and happier way to come home than to find out that your dog still recognizes and loves you. And we've missed him too.
How much? How much? Oh, Mister. Oh, what is this? Oh, God.